Hey, um, it looks like um, we have some children that weren't properly handled. Um, that were coming over the border, and Trump and their administration has sort of weird ideas. One thing I think that Trump is in with a bunch of white nationalists, like that Steve Manor, for example. I do believe, and I just can't wrap my mind around. It looks like they separated the children from the parents. In doing so, they did not like put any wristbands, like like when you have in the hospital that will give you your name and a bunch of information that they'll, like you can just easily look at and like, oh, this is so and so, because they could easily put the child's name and the child's parents' name in, or something, and but they didn't do any of this. So they're sending these kids all around. And if you recall, um, in the news a lot, with the Hades children, that these good-hearted Christians that wanted to help these Haiti kids and adopt them, sexually abused them. And there's been suits, from Catholic Church sexually abusing kids. Because we have a society that's sort of overly sexed. And I think the least powerful among us are children. And, we sort of have this narcissistic behavior when it comes to children where it's okay to whoop them. It's like, and these children will grow up to be adults. You know, um, a lot of the adults that do that, which this is one thing I find very tricky. It's like sometimes they have an amnesia, like in their late teens, and till they're like 35, so have amnesia, where they didn't scream out and holler when their parents whooped them because of the pain that it caused, um, and the feelings that bubbled up and you know uh, express, to their other peers, But anyway, and there's very little that kids will like the two subjects kids really won't talk about is physical and sexual abuse. It's just like when it comes to the parents and their kids, it's a subject that's not really breached. And I so anyway, I gotta digress, but let me get back to this thought that the Trump administration with sort of erases and uh, uh, they don't like Muslims, Mexicans are a bunch of rapists, and etc. And just the way they talk, the way that he treats women, because like I think after a while, like if you were a prostitute a lot, I think like a lot of things that are not said are felt. And I think that they sort of feel like these women don't really care about them. And I think that, you get in the mindset, like Ivanka, his wife, she went down someplace in Texas and, you know, excuse me, she had some type of jacket on, like something to the effect that I don't care. And she probably don't care because she didn't care about Trump. Probably most of the men that she's been with didn't care about her. Trump's just worried about having eye candy, and during his marriage to her, so she could become a citizen. I guess he's probably doing the Russians a favor. That's how Russian mob works. Marry her and make her a citizen. Marry this person. And they probably just told her, all you gotta do is stay married to him for a little over 10 years. If you have a child, you're gonna get half of everything plus child support. So she's, in the meantime, while you're waiting those 10 years, you bring over your whole family. She brought over her mom, her dad, her sisters, I think even a brother, I don't know. But she brought them over, maybe aunts, uncle. This is why Trump is like, this is a bad thing. No, you a person that did a bad thing. you know. But now, getting back to, so, so she don't care. Because, like, as they get older, they get, like, more callous to where they don't care about anything. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's ever cared about anything but lusting after her. Oh, what can her mouth do? Nowadays, not only do you have a mouth, vagina, but you got the butt to attend to too if you're female. So, and they're eating butts. Like, haven't people heard of hepatitis? Or you don't do that. It's um, puts in bad bacteria if you're not, and if you are careful. But anyway, there's some people with bad immune system, the body can't fight off. So something else to think about. So anyway, so we have these. I think that's part of what Trump is, in the mafia with, and he's the type of man that thought it was important for him to look like a woman man or whatever, a womanizer. I think that you look at that one tape they had with him and that young Bush guy. Well, anyway, can't recall that TV show that Bush was on. The Bush kid gets fired. Trump becomes president. So Trump has never had to suffer consequences, from his actions. So I think that I'm a little scatterbrained because it's very upsetting. I think that first of all, Russia, definitely does not make friends with somebody in his position, and think they're not going to be using him, So, and so anyway, my point is that they think they're like, oh, we're going to be like Hitler, oh, we're going to be like this. The only problem is that they're not disciplined because they're con artists. They're ready for doing quick things. What if I go bankrupt? Ha ha ha! It's part of the game. Everything, But like, if you notice, we know so much about what was going on in Germany during World War II. It's because they kept good records. If they, they tattoo numbers on the people's arms. If they separated a mom, and I'm not saying tattoo these kids, but any type of, what I'm saying? They kept paperwork. They wrote everything down for the bad or the good. You know what I'm saying? Because I think a person would rather be remembered, period, either for, and you know what I'm saying? We don't have anybody in history that doesn't have a bad reputation like Hitler. Horrible person. There's some people that still think he's fabulous. I don't know, but there's a lot of people in history. Gaddafi, I'm sure there's a lot of people think the guy in Cuba, Castro. To some he was a horrible person, to some, but you know what I'm saying. But if you have a lie, it doesn't make no sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you listen to somebody that has a lie, like you listen to a lot of stuff that Trump says, it doesn't make any sense. He contradicts himself. So it doesn't make any sense. So, you're not going to be remembered. Trump, he's going to be remembered for his actions, for what he did. It doesn't matter if he said Obama this or Hillary Clinton this, for the time period that he was in office, he's going to be responsible for his action. And yeah, they're going to go back and look back, and they need to look back to 1972. Russia wasn't afraid of losing Trump, because here Trump was, but he's on the presidency. Here he's making good money, but see, Trump wasn't hurting anybody. He's got in the habit of being like he's trying to copy the people that are around him that are into blackmailing, that are into embezzlement, that are into laundering money, that are into prostitution and drugs, and you know. And again, like I said, those type of people get a callus. Some people say that narcissistic people not born, they're made. And then you have like the psychotic person too. You know what I'm saying? Like, I hate to use this example, sort of like with the police department. You have, they have narcissistic psychotic behavior, but it's sort of trained in them. Like when I went to this one class at WSU, you know, no justice, no sense. So they train them to think that way, and I'm incapable really of thinking that way. And it's not because I don't see it. It's not that I more understand the upbringing that causes that behavior, and I guess it's just something that some people are just do not get joy out of seeing other people pain. You're like, I don't get like slap comedy. Like Charlie Chaplin, like some that was like a true artist, but still you just cringe. And I cringe. I'm the type of person like, ooh, I know that hurts. And I don't enjoy like this cringing like this is not sexual for me. When you feel that, that's not a sexual feeling. That's a warning feeling. It's just like some people like they like pain. Like if you hit them, to me, pain's always meant something fucked up on my. I broke something or something. I don't know. You stubbed your toe or something. It's always like, okay, I don't want to. I don't want to walk like through the bedroom again without the lights on the way to the bathroom. I guess I'll just turn the damn lights on, and then you're like, oh wow, if I turn the lights on, I still can't see, so I'll have to have a night light. So, I won't stub my toe. So it's always been something for me to correct something, not to blame on something else. It's more of their way. It's like, well, I stubbed my toe. It's this dresser fault. Let me hit this dresser. Fucking dresser. You see people like that. Like they had a bad day, come home, and their kids no longer that cute little whatever to them anymore. And so, like, instead of the kids like, oh, happy day, mom and dad's home, it might be like, oh, I got, oh, I'm hungry, have problems. And, instead of, like, just, like, taking, like, 2 or 3 minutes out and start giving them, like, because all they do these days, give them a bowl of fucking cereal, milk, Like, what does that do? Take a bowl out of the cabinet, take a box off the shelf, pour some of that in there, don't get the milk, pour that in. These people, because they see it on TV, the milk staying out, they leave the milk out. I know that because I didn't watch TV. I always put my milk away, but people that watch TV all the time will leave their milk out. Anyway, I just really weird things I notice about people with habits that I find like, why? Why cause more problems and maybe illness? Why go out of your way? But that's part of the narcissistic behavior. But anyway, what I was going to say is that Trump not only put himself around some Russian mafia and the Chinese mafia, because the Russian mafia and Chinese mafia, from what they told me out their own mouth, run toe to toe, and like a lot of people are like, like they just like, that was very naive, I was young, but they just took it as stupid because, well, sometimes, I don't know, I think it was convenient for me to get the fuck away from those crazy, narcissistic people. They turn back around and be like, where'd she go? I haven't seen her. Anyway, but, you have to buy your time. And, but I think they think they're, like, they're sort of like following like Hitler, following a lot of old traditions like Japanese encampment. So now they're going to have these kids in encampments. But they didn't do the paperwork. See, Hitler wasn't an uneducated man. He had been in war. He understood the war. He understood who gets hurt in war, the citizens. That's why he took the citizens out of that area and put them in concentration camps and made some have work camp because he knew when the city's going to get bombed. And citizens are going to get killed. I mean, their doctors are going to get killed. I mean, their scientists are going to get killed. I mean, their teachers are going to get killed. These are the people that they're going to need to rebuild Germany. You know, so even like, even though like Hitler and all his people were a bunch of like, well, you know, they had a heroin problem, cocaine problem, and the pedophilia problem. Um, so they wasn't. There are like with extreme narcissistic ways comes pedophilia in my observation, because children you really hurt and you damage for a long time, and it is something that you can actually watch. They can watch this kid behavior change. I know when I was teaching, like you see them in pre-kindergarten, everything's fine, and then something happens and this kid's behavior, and instead of like nurturing this kid, teaching this kid, you know what I'm saying, they will be punishing this kid, hitting this kid, and causing further damage, you know, to where it impedes really, I think, their learning at all, and the mental growth. So, but anyway, so I think that's what we have here, opposed to, you know, people that start off with a healthy childhood. And in Germany, a lot of these kids had healthy childhoods before, and I don't mean healthy that there was still stuff going on around, but when they came in the house, it was, you know, a lot of these kids was taken well care of. It was a healthy environment where emphasis was on them learning and getting prepared for adulthood and having a career. You know, always mind focus on that. And so, you know, you notice after World War II, we had a lot of Jewish doctors, you know, lawyers, and very professional. We don't have that in the Trump administration. We don't have it with Trump's people. Even Coleman, his lawyer, doesn't seem to be a real lawyer. So, you know, basically, their white privileges that they have been passed on through grades because they're white, not with the mindset that we need a country to be able to function with this new generation, you know, and so I think that the Trump administration, you know, they're a bunch of con artists and crook, like that Devasty lady. I think isn't her brother with Blackwaters, and they got something to do with private prisons, so they'll be making money off of the immigrants and refugees, or the people coming over the border. They'll be making money off of them because that's what they make money off of. And the more money they get, the worse they treat the people they have. But they haven't thought logical. They don't do the paperwork. They don't read. You know what I'm saying? So you know, because mostly their thing is to make quick money, get quick out of there. You know what I'm saying? Before anybody can notice. And here they are, sitting in the White House. This is why they don't want the press. This is why they're against the press. You know, this is why they think they got to have Fox like talk like the way and always be on their side, because they don't want to correct the wrong that they're doing, because they haven't did the homework to in the first place on what they're doing. All they want to do is get in here and get quick money and do as much damage as they can. And you can see the damage already in the short period of time that they've been here. It's not been, you know, anyway. So I'm very upset over the whole situation that they expose the type of citizens that we have in America, especially Caucasian Americans. And it's like, you know, it's like Donald Trump doesn't have an IQ past, you know, fucking 50. In other words, that's more. Which, well, you know, and you know what I'm saying? Because I've seen really intelligent people, you know what I'm saying? Then they probably wouldn't show high IQ. but they were very intelligent in the fact of, and they didn't hurt people either. So like but they were very intelligent in the fact the way they was able to like recycle, rebuild, and or get parts for and make their own stuff. Like this one guy, he made like a water air conditioner, had a whole bunch of stuff in his house, rigged up cameras, and he used old other people's camera parts. So he finally got enough. He didn't, but he didn't have. He wasn't a hoarder with a house full of stuff. He was, so you wouldn't know by going in his house, because he was organized. It was like most of his stuff was, but it's like in his basement and his garage, which didn't, uh, you know, most of them didn't go to, so you didn't ever see. But he was organized. So I was like, wow, you're organized. You got all his tools up on the wall. So, you know, so there's a certain amount of intelligence that one needs that Trump and the Russians don't even have it because they're out the con quick. But they do a lot of damage, and damage is long term in a lot of ways. Like with a hurricane, like with a flood. They come in, they do the damage, but have to clean up. That's one thing I don't understand. Why they didn't clean up Trump when he came back from North Korea. Instead, North Korea gave him some type of suggestion. Instead of debriefing him and put him straight right, like North Stitch people like, well, we could do that too. So they compound the problem. I give them another suggestion. So then, I've seen them like people like do that to their kids and end up the kid ends up in a catastrophic state. And usually it was to cover up. The parents trying to cover up. Well, in one case I know about, they were coming up sexual abuse, and gorgeous little blonde, gorgeous, big blue eyes, gorgeous, But our parents did that, and I think they were having problems proving it. Or somebody was telling me the whole story. Anyway, so I think right now we're in a situation where you got a lot of white people that are racist or make America great again, all this type of thinking, talking and stuff. They're not dealing with the reality of what's going on and where it's going to lead to. I mean, even with the weather being as hot as it is, Trump got out of the climate agreement. So whatever. Anyway, it's sad. I don't think that I don't know, like these 18-month-old babies, they can't speak for themselves. I don't know how this court system plans on prosecuting kids, I know like they're asking the United States Air Force to send them somebody to help prosecute these people. I don't even think that Air Force has people that actually prosecute that way because everything in the military goes by ranks and whatever. And I mean, not that the lawyers can't do it, but I don't think that they were trained for immigrant law or whatever it's called. Anyway, let me get off here. I've been talking a while, but just to sum it up real quick, I think that that is to me, it's pretty obvious with the behavior and what they're doing with the kids that they're poor excuse of human being, and that like they're used to being con artists, quick, and now the spotlight is on them, and they're not functioning at all. They're not functioning. There's 50 states in the United States, and they're not wanting to represent all 50 states. And even the ones that are non-states, whatever, like what are Commonwealth, like Puerto Rico, they're not even representing Puerto Rico. What I'm saying? So, Trump will be remembered for who and what, he does what he's in office. and for his behavior that he had, you know, for the 70 odd years beforehand too. You know, the same way he was looking at Obama, I think if we shine a light on Trump, that we'll find that his life has been very interesting, and that you know, and that Ivanka, she was probably planning on divorcing him by now, and who knows? If the rumor's true about Trumping and that orgy that was with that Eddie Garnett, um, and he real sick, and some of the other people died. Uh, that might be what Ivanka, him not sleeping in the same room for, and that when he had sex with that Stormy lady, that he already knew that he had a problem, and I think that's why she's mainly going to court because he didn't use the rubber. You understand what I'm saying? Give her HIV. That's that's what I heard. But I just know that the people that we was hanging out with, uh, they're very sick, and and